Say it now. Say the obvious prediction right now.
The Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks, the only show that's Starcastic and Remarky. I'm Chris. I'm here with James. Ryan was in person in Anaheim, so we won't have him today. Go to DraftKings, use that promo code THBN. They are good to us, good to THBN, good to all stuff, and they'll give you some free stuff. Do all that stuff. This night was much better. Stars win. Final score 6-2. Take down the Ducks. Take care of business. And man, it feels like after that, the last 7 minutes of the San Jose game, the Stars finally figured out their offense and they're executing again. And it was very nice to see.
Yeah, and it really it's from all up and down the lineup this time, which is the nice thing. The two people who scored all the goals last night didn't get a point tonight, which is complete opposite of what happened last night. You had one line carry us through. Tonight we have every other line score except for that one.
Yep, and almost prefer that. I mean, after what those two guys did, you kind of want to see everybody else kind of jump on that train with them, and they absolutely did.
Yeah, it's a really big response from a team as a whole, which is weird because we won the game and it still felt like a response game for the team.
Exactly. And I don't feel like my feeling from this game is it's not like we played super different from the two games we played in San Jose. We just finally executed on the chances that we had. We scored goals the way that the Dallas Stars do. And this is what the last two games, this is what should have happened. And it did this time because we finally got back to scoring.
And that on the other side, on the defensive side too, you saw Otter track the puck really well tonight, which he struggled with the past two games against the Sharks.
Yep, very true. He had a couple of pretty big saves tonight, and some, like you said, through traffic, he's able to find it and get on it and at least make the first move to give himself a chance to make the save. That's when you saw on that weird deflection where he pushes across the crease all the way to the left side to get a pad on the wide open net. That was a great play, especially for tracking, like you said, James. Yeah, he was better. I think still, even that first goal from the Ducks, I think when Otter's like truly on, that's a save he makes. He gets a good chunk of the puck and it still goes in. But it's a slow moving thing. His reaction speed is when he's on, he's quick enough to catch up to those two. So this still isn't prime Otter, but I agree it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah, it definitely felt like he finally caught back up a little bit to where a normal NHL goaltender would be. And
Yeah.
that's all we need against these teams who aren't that great.
Yeah, and we still got a few games here down the stretch for Otter to figure things out. And we've seen in the playoffs goalies go in totally cold and then show up hot, and vice versa. So you can kind of never really know what's going to happen when the playoffs start. Chris Tanev, I mean, this is what we got him for. Big goal scoring defenseman. And he opens up the scoring tonight in the first minute. That's exactly what we thought would happen.
Yeah, that was the weirdest, flukiest goal ever. And of course it comes from the person who just got on the team. So yeah, not what we're going to expect from Tanev, but I mean, hey, we take it, especially against a inferior team when we have a game tomorrow night as well. That's a absolutely great start for the Stars.
I think that's his second goal of the season.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and that tells you how good of a defenseman he is. If he only had one goal all year and he was maybe the number 2 defenseman at the trade deadline to get picked up. So, yeah, pretty interesting there. And like you said, we get scoring from up and down the lineup. Rope Hintz gets in on the goal scoring in a non-overtime form. Radek Faksa gets his second. Kind of 2 goals pretty close together, which is a little bit rare for Radek Faksa, but he looked really good tonight, actually, especially. I noticed Radek Faksa all over the ice. Jamie Benn had an outstanding night. I mean, what did he finish with? 3 points tonight, I believe. 1 goal, 2 assists.
Exactly. I don't know exactly, but he is very good in
2 points
in back-to-back games now. And in this one, the kids weren't helping him out at all. So he does all of his work on power play or on the weird fourth line that we ended up having to run because we ran with 7 defensemen tonight.
Yeah, another interesting note. Smith was not in tonight, and we ran 7 defensemen. And I think I kind of liked DeBoer is definitely mixing around the pairs and kind of seeing what worked. I mean, we saw Lundqvist play with Haskin a few times. I think we saw Miro with Tanev a couple of times. We saw some shuffling.
Harley with Tanev too. That showed up a couple of times as well.
Lots of different stuff. We were trying things out, seeing what stuck, and I'm sure they'll go to the defenseman and ask them what looked good. I didn't notice anything specifically stand out to me as far as pairings go. Did you at all?
I think Hakanpää still looks awful with Suter, and he didn't look great in this game in general either. I mean, he just weird leaky stuff getting through him. Most of the time, he's not getting punished on it. Luckily.
Yeah, and even on the power play goal that the Ducks got too, I feel like, I mean, I'm not going to say it's 100% his fault, but it
looks like he was lost.
He doesn't look like he knows what he's confident and comfortable when he's killing penalties. That's his thing. That is his number one deal. And he looked lost. That's a good way of putting it, James. So I don't know what's going on with Hakanpää. Hopefully he can get that figured out, because I prefer to have some more meat on the blue line rather than Lundqvist, even though
well, that's the other thing tonight too. I mean, you go over to Lundqvist, you're like, oh, Lundqvist must have been better. No, he played 9 minutes and still had a -1 on the night. I mean, that's tough. He had a couple of good plays against Terry at one point, or Terry or McTavish. I can't remember which one, but that was on one shift. Yeah. I was on one shift, and every other time he touched the ice, he was doing something pretty stupid. And one of the shifts he got scored on. So he only took 13 shifts tonight.
Yeah. Since we jumped to negative, let's kind of just pile it on here a little bit. Dellandrea
it's not looked good recently.
Not looked good since Sagan has been gone. He's definitely being put in a spot where this year he hasn't been asked to do it, but last year we saw him be able to play on these scoring lines and not rack up points, but definitely create space and get the puck to people. And not only did he not do that, he put us on the kill twice, I think. Yeah, 4 penalty minutes on the night. 20% face off. I mean, I'm sure he didn't take very many face offs with him playing on with Foxes. Well, no, he played he might have taken a couple of face offs. I'm not exactly sure. But he just looked bad too. He did not get into the zone as that F1 on the forecheck, and I don't know if I saw him make one good play, honestly.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see because kind of the only bright side that pops up with him now is that he plays on the penalty kill, and kind of every other player that we bring up can also play on the penalty kill. So he's quickly losing his edge since we call him the Swiss knife.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. And
I like it.
you're not really helpful on the penalty kill when you're in the box either. That's not going to help. And anytime your depth players are taking penalties, that's absolutely not good. That's a good way to get set on the bench. So severely missing Seguin, I think. That Marchment and Duchesne have been missing him since he's been gone.
Marchment finally scores.
And that's what I was going to lead into. Marchment finally gets the monkey off the back.
Yeah, 9 games without a point, even not just a goal, no assists either. Not as long as his last season drought, which was like 27 something. But
yeah, it's a much better
drought. And it was kind of a fluky goal. Hits the post, hits the back of the goaltender's head, and rolls on end into the net. That's hilarious.
And those are sometimes the ones that it takes to get that monkey off the back. I mean, it was a great shot, and it hit the crossbar. It was like, oh, it's that close, and then it rolls
in anyway.
Okay, we're gonna make it go in anyway, and you're gonna start scoring goals. So hopefully that can get him out of that goal scoring funk, and hopefully Seguin can come back soon, and I'm sure that's going to help even more. I think the first game we see with Seguin back, it's going to be like, wow, man, did we miss this? Because that's going to be a big difference, I think. A lot of penalties tonight, James. That was
especially in the third. Why did they do that? It was a 5-1 game going into the third. It's Stars against Ducks, and good night. That was a lot of penalties.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was a well officiated game because they called it a touch, especially that Tanev one, the one that the Ducks actually scored on.
That wasn't a penalty, but whatever.
And then they let some other stuff go that was crazy. I mean, how did the Stars not get a too many men on the ice penalty there? They were playing with 6 people. I mean,
they called 5 penalties in the third period, and they called 4 in the previous 2.
That was interesting.
The game was over by the time they decided to finally start calling stuff. And it's not like one of those games where, the teams are getting aggressive. We have to call stuff to calm the game down. No, it was stripping calls and hookings and holdings. And here we go, I guess.
Helpful for the Stars power play, though. They get 3 of their 6 on the power play. And most of their power plays look pretty good tonight. And like we said at the top, they were executing too, making good individual plays to get the pucks in the back of the net.
Yeah, there was really only one power play that didn't look good, and the Ducks just played it well. And that was the only one the Ducks played well all night long. They had 5 of them. So that's pretty good. And the only reason why we don't get a chance on the last one is because we score a second after the 5-on-3 ends.
Yep. And all of them by the top line as well here. So, and all by your big players, the guys you expect to score on your power play, Pavelski, Ben, and Rope. That's who we want to get going on the power play, especially Pavelski, who had been right on the brink of 10 power play goals and just hasn't done it for a while now. Getting him back on it with a great individual play, like I said. I mean, stopping that the slap pass, that was a little bit more slap than pass. So the ability for him to be able to wrangle that and put it home was pretty great. You love to see Pavelski being very deft around the net, and he definitely was on that goal.
And in that last goal, really kind of, I mean, the game was already 5-2 at the point, but scoring the 6th one was finally like, okay, the game's just gonna coast to the end because it was an answer right after the Ducks had just scored theirs. It solidified the game for sure.
And coasting to the end is exactly what you want to do on the first night of a back-to-back, especially when you got a tough team tomorrow. We were rolling lines. I think the shifts got down to like 35 seconds in those last 5 minutes. Like you said, James, the game was over. Everyone was coasting. There was not a lot of power skating going on out there. But
even Ben on his breakaway.
Oh, man. Ben had a breakaway, and he was like, we don't really got to skate here. We get glide to the net. So, but great game before the second night of a back-to-back, especially when the next opponent's going to be a little bit tougher. I think with our 7 defensemen, I think
Not a single one hit
not
20
a
minutes.
single one over 20 minutes. This might be the lowest time on ice from Miro Heiskanen of the season.
Years.
1951.
I mean, I don't think we've seen not a single defenseman hit 20 in years. Seriously. I mean, that's an oddity.
Interesting note, the leader in time on ice tonight was Jason Robertson, 2037.
He
Probably
played a
makes those
lot.
power plays.
And he played a lot on that fourth line with
He did. You double shifting a lot,
Foxa and Delandria. And honestly, you kind of want to pick someone who's used to playing that many units or that many minutes with that too. So
yep,
works out.
And leading in tomorrow night, we got the Kings coming up, who are they're still scrapping for that spot a little bit.
They're third in their division right now.
They're third in the division, but they're also only 2 points away
ahead
from the last wild card spot. A little bit safe from the Flames, but they might still try and push at the end. Kind of tough though when you lose your top pair, so probably not likely there. But they're a team that's going to be scrapping. It's going to be a lot harder than the San Jose Sharks and the Ducks have been. And we made the Sharks look a little bit tough. So good to have that extra energy going in there. And what are you thinking about tomorrow night, James?
I mean, we gotta, first of all, Wedgwood's gonna play tomorrow night. Hopefully he does what he normally does on the second night of a back-to-back, which is stop a lot of shots. Because the Stars are probably going to give up 35 plus something stupid like that. That's normal for the Stars on the second night of a back-to-back, but need big goaltending. Hopefully we can have our defense play better than they did tonight, particularly the bottom pairing with the Hakanpää looked pretty poor tonight. I mean, I think he might be struggling a little bit just learning how to play with Suter because he hasn't played with Suter before. He's basically only ever played with Esa Lindell, and that just really isn't an option for us anymore because there's a better option there. But it's just good defense, hopefully, not giving up shots in the slot like we were tonight is more of what I want to see. If we're giving up outside stuff, fine, but tie up the sticks. Don't let the pass get through you.
Yeah, not a ton of stuff, not a ton of shots tonight, but all the shots were from quality scoring positions. And like you said, I mean, the deflection goal, I mean, that's a guy right in front that's just not tied up. I mean, there's definitely still some room to improve defensively there. That said, they did okay, and Otter bailed him out a couple times too. So I'd say we take this as a defensive game. This isn't your best, but not your worst either. So
yeah, this is what the Sharks game should have looked like.
Exactly.
And we just couldn't tie up anyone.
And they just all win.
And every single one that got their win in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's wrap this one up. Biggest winner, biggest loser, James.
Biggest winner is Jamie Benn, without a doubt. I mean, that was a spectacular game from him. In back-to-back nights in different or back-to-back games in different ways too. One's with your rookies with you, kind of rookies. Johnson isn't a rookie, but he counts. And then the other one's on the power play mostly. So that's two very different parts of his game, and he got both of them working in games against poor teams.
Yep, agreed. Interesting note that I don't really think about often. Logan Stankoven is older than Wyatt Johnston.
Yeah, by a few months.
In my brain, that is not correct at all. But yeah, weird. My biggest winner is Roope Hintz, 3-point night, the goal, 2 assists. He was really good on the power play.
300 points.
300?
300 career points.
That's a big milestone to hit. He especially was rough the past couple of weeks while the Stars were in their goal drought, and it feels like he's got the confidence back from these last.
That overtime goal seemed to really help him in this game. I mean, he was doing stuff that he normally wasn't trying the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. Also want to mention that Jamie Benn shot was crazy good.
He knocked it off the pegs. He knocked the net off the pegs.
Knocked the net off the pegs, but it's also just the shot placement too. He knows that pass is coming a little bit slower. I'm not going to try and beat the goalie. I'm going across because the pass is coming slower. You're not going to beat the goalie. He knows that. So he takes a perfect shot all the way across. Love that. That's super good. Biggest loser.
Wyatt Johnston, dude, has a -1 on the night, not even a point. Dude, what are you doing?
Dude sucks. He's washed. Send him
but
to
but
the AHL.
but in all seriousness, Nils Lundqvist, dude, he played 9 minutes, had a -1, and had like one good shift the entire time he's on the ice. That is tough when you are trying to prove you are better than someone else who is in the lineup every night.
Yeah, I'm gonna hammer down on the next guy there, Hockenpah. I mean, I really expected him to have a bounce back game from last game. Last game was bad. It was really bad. This one wasn't as bad as last game, I don't think, but it wasn't much better. So that is not what you expect from a guy who's been in the league for a minute when you're coming down the stretch and there's a chance it's an outside chance, but there's a chance he could lose his job at the end of the season here as the regular starter. I'd expect a little bit stronger pushback after a game like that.
I kind of expect us to, if Bischel comes back and wants to play in some NHL games, he might get a couple at the end of the season just so that we can see how he matches up. And I mean, Hakanpah's the odd man out at that point.
Yep. Note on Bischel, actually. We'll keep the Bischel tracker up there. His team in what is it, Switzerland or Sweden?
I think
Europe, Sweden. They did make the play-in round for their league. So he'll, according to source on Twitter, I can't remember who, I apologize. The earliest he would be available to be coming back to the United States is probably March 18th. So that pushes it back a little bit. And if you want to try and slot him in at some point, you're likely not going to get very many games before playoffs start, which
it's like
would be tough.
Last 5 games basically. But even if we get him in during that, we did that with Harley last year, and he hasn't been taken out of lineup since then.
I think it's a little bit different though, because Harley
very different.
He's in Cedar Park. You could drive down and watch the game and then drive back up. So he had much closer eyes. He had coaches that the Stars are able to talk to every day with him and working on what they wanted him to work on. So this is definitely a different situation. But Jim Nill did say in that little interview, we've got people in the organization who are better than the trades he could have made. So it's definitely on the mind that he's an option. I'm sure that Bork is an option. Maybe even Blumel is an option, who's another AHL All-Star who's had an exceptional year for them. They're at the very least on the depth chart. So if you lose a skill guy, Bork, Blumel are likely to get pulled up before Delandry would, I would think. And if you lose a defenseman, I bet Bischel's probably at least given a look on a practice or something, because I mean, a guy who's that big of a difference maker, you can't give up on that.
He'll at least be with the team during playoffs, I would assume, even if it's just like a morning skate or practice or wherever, he'll be there.
Yep, agreed. Big win for the Stars, 6-2. We'll see you back here tomorrow night for another late one. Thank goodness this is this the last West? This better be the last West Coast road trip of the season.
I have no clue.
I sure hope it is, because man, this stinks. Anyway,
I like
you. Yeah, James is a night owl. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Be sure to use that promo code THPN when you go to DraftKings. They'll give you some free goodies. It'll let them know that we sent you over there, and they like to know that stuff. Please be sure to check out our website, sarcasticremarks.com. You can see when we upload new episodes. You can see blog posts, mostly by Ryan. I'm sure he'll do one since he didn't get to talk tonight, and he's always got way too much to say. And you could also check out our shop from that website too. That's the most direct way to support us. Check us out on all the social media things: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the stuff. And we will see you tomorrow night. GG boys.